It's English this afternoon, and I'm with Lisa.
And Pule.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. We're going to be continuing our work on literature in today's episode. In our last episode, you'll remember that we looked at how to study a novel in general, and then looked quite closely at To Kill a Mockingbird. In today's episode, we'll be looking at one of the other choices in the novel genre, Lord of the Flies.
Right, guys. Now remember, when we spoke last week, we looked at the universal themes in To Kill a Mockingbird, and we said those are the same themes that are coming out in soapies today, such as Generations. Now, for those of you who are Survivor fans, this is the book for you. I think this was actually where the concept of Survivor came from. We have boys on an island, we have them forming into teams, and it's a Survivor gone drastically wrong.
Once again, we look at the plot, the characters, and the main themes. In this episode, we'll also spend some time looking at the sorts of questions that you could get in your exams and talk about how to prepare for them and how to answer them.
Yeah, and I reckon that this section will be really useful to all of you, even those of you who aren't studying Lord of the Flies, because there's some generic advice about how to answer your set work questions.
We need to emphasize that this incredible novel was written by William Golding and was first published in 1954. At first, it was not so popular, but because it deals with universal themes, people now are actually reading the novel.
Yeah, I reckon it's now arguably one of the most important novels in English literature. All right, so we hope you've read the book already, but let's just take a quick look at the plot to remind you of the most important events.
Lord of the Flies tells the story of a group of British boys. It's important that you know that these are British boys who have to take care of themselves on an uninhabited tropical island after the plane they are traveling in crashes.
They are being flown to safety during an atomic war. No adults survive the crash. The boys are the only survivors. There's fresh water and fruit, as well as pigs, which the boys can catch and eat on the island.
The boys come from wealthy families and they are quite well educated. At first, the boys try to live in a civilized way and follow the rules of society that they were all taught at home.
Right, so they make Ralph their leader, and then Ralph appoints Jack to hunt for food for the whole group. The boys spend a lot of time having fun. I mean, you can see it sounds like an idyllic life.
Yeah.
All right,
so swimming, enjoying, and having fun.
And then, it's nice, no adults around. Then at Ralph's suggestion, they agree to light a signal fire in the hope that the smoke will be seen by a passing ship or plane and that they'll be rescued.
They are able to do this by using Piggy's glasses as a lens to set the wood alight. However, the boys missed a chance of being rescued because the boys who were meant to keep it alight had been hunting.
Much more fun. Hunting, tending a fire. They're into hunting. Right, and from here on, things start to go horribly wrong for the boys. The dead body of a fighter pilot that drifts down onto the island one night, after an air battle that the boys don't see, they suddenly think that this is a monster. This creates a great deal of fear among the boys, especially for the young uns of the group.
After Jack and Ralph go on a hunting expedition for the monster, Jack tries to get the group to make him leader because Ralph, he says, is a coward. The rest of the group don't agree and Jack runs off.
Soon, however, the boys split into two groups. The one group, under the leadership of Ralph, represents reason and order, and the other group, under the leadership of Jack, represents chaos and evil.
During a wild feast to celebrate a sword that the hunters have killed, one of the boys, Simon, is killed. It is worth remembering that Ralph and Piggy, who have always been seen as being rational and civilized, are also at this feast.
When Ralph and Piggy are talking about what happened the next day, the hunters steal Piggy's glasses and run away. When Ralph tries to get them back for him, a fight breaks out. A large rock rolls down the mountain and kills poor Piggy.
The hunters start to hunt Ralph, who has to hide. Jack has the boys start a fire in the forest to scare Ralph out into the open. Ralph rushes onto the beach, where he collapses at the feet of a naval officer.
A passing ship had seen the fire and come to investigate. The boys are rescued and taken back to civilization, but we are left wondering about what their behavior says about us as humans. How would we act if all the rules and regulations disappeared?
The plot or story is really quite simple if you think about it. So I think you should find it quite easy to remember what happens and to whom. This will allow you to focus your attention on the characters and themes.
I think I'd like to just stress here that the story, what happens when, is really not what's important in terms of what you need to study. It's really why, how. All right. So before we move on to character, I think it's worth talking and thinking for a minute about the setting of the novel. Take a few seconds and think about where the novel is set. Think about the time and the place. You've probably realized that we have no idea where the novel or when the novel is set. It's other than being during some war or other.
There is no indication as to whether this was in the past or sometime in the future. This is important because it leads the reader to think that something like this could happen anytime. And this is quite scary, we think.
You will also have realized that because the novel takes place on some unknown tropical island, Golding, the author, is suggesting that the story is universal. It could happen anywhere, and
therefore to anyone.
Even us. All right. In the next segment, we're going to explore character in some depth. And I think we look forward to getting back to you.